Assalamu alaikum. I guess I'm too early, huh? Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ashhadu la ilaha illallah, ashhadu Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. There we go. Now, that is too high for me. That's Maple Suit Lake Web. He's this much taller than me. When he gets here, he'll be up. Okay. Anyway, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen, we're all here. If you're not here yet, raise your hand. Okay, so we're all here. We'll get started, mashallah. My name is Yusuf. Can you say Yusuf? Yusuf. That's pretty good, man. You said it right the first time, you know. My wife still pronounces it useless. But anyhow, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. Is everybody here is a Muslim? Anybody not Muslim, raise your hand. You'll be our target. Oh, I'm sorry. Alhamdulillah. It is a good chance for us to all be good today, especially on our subject. We're going to be talking about something that I usually don't talk about. Hell. No, I didn't mean it as a cuss word. That's the subject they asked me to talk about. Now, I'm just filler, so I'm not really here in my full capacity, so, you know, I'll just be talking for a few minutes on this subject. And this is in Congress with some of the other topics that you've already experienced and what you're going to finish up with when Sheikh does arrive, inshallah. And this is the experience of death, what happens at death, etc. And one of the subjects that you have to deal with is, where am I going to go after the judgment day, after everything is all over? And there are two places. And Suhaib will be talking about the Jannah, or the paradise, so I'll just talk about the other place. And what we know from the hadith, or the sayings and narrations of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created two things. Two things he created: paradise and hellfire. Paradise and the nar. And then he created the inhabitants for both places. So these two things were created first. And whenever he created the two things, before he created any jinn or human beings, he created heaven and hell. He sent his archangel. The archangel, arch or arch? How would you pronounce it? A-R-C-H. Arch? Or arch? You sure? So whenever, okay, never mind. That's okay. We won't do etymology of words today. We'll just stay on the subject. So the angel, Gabriel, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty, sent him to look at the paradise. And he came back and he said, well, what do you think? He said, I fear that everybody, this is a bad translation, but this is the closest I can get. Meaning that I believe, okay, I believe that anybody who sees it will enter it. In other words, everybody will want to go there. So he sent him to the hellfire, and he came back and he said, I believe nobody will ever enter that. Never, ever. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put a facade over both. Shahwa, it made like a hijab, or a covering over both, to make it look the opposite. So he came back, this time he sent him again, and he came back and he said about the paradise, he said, I don't think anybody's going to enter it. And about the hellfire, he said, I think everybody's going to enter it. So that makes us understand from the beginning that there's a big tendency toward the hellfire and not much toward the paradise. And let's find out why. Let's talk about the word in the Arabic language though. Jahannam. Na'udhu. How many of you never heard that word before? Jahannam. Don't know the word Jahannam. Okay. This is related to some other words that we know in Arabic. Jinn. You know what's jinn? Yeah, the people you don't see. They were before human beings. There was another race or another species, and they're called jinn. And there's also a place called Jannah. You heard of Jannah? And Jahannam. And now you're starting to get an idea. They come from the same root. They're based on the same root. It means literally something you can't see. You don't see paradise, you don't see hellfire, and you don't see the jinn. But all of it is required for us to believe in as Muslims. You don't see it, but you still believe in it. And this is also referred to in the Quran as al-ghayb, things you don't see. And it's a condition of being guided by Allah. The Quran guides people who believe certain things. In the beginning of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك كتاب الله ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب. That is the book wherein there is no doubt. A lot of translators use the word this, but that means that. That is the book wherein there is no doubt. A source of guidance for those who have a taqwa. And they believe in al-ghayb, the unseen. And so Jannah, paradise, Jahannam, hellfire, and the jinn are all in the unseen. So it's a condition. There's other things in the unseen too that don't come from that root, like Allah. You don't see Allah, and He also is from this. You don't see the malaika, the angels. They also are from al-ghayb and not related to the word jinn. So, now that I've covered that, you can tell I'm not in a hurry to get to the subject of hell, right? Can you tell that? I'm not in a hurry. I'm just taking my time. Okay, you want to talk about hell? It's a bad place to lie. Scary, man. If I tell you the stuff that's in the Quran, just the Quran is enough to scare you to death. But the hadith, when Prophet ﷺ talked about it, I think some people would still, if they were still alive today, they'd still be shaking. Because it was so scary. But I want to hesitate for a minute before I go any further and tell you an experience that I had some years ago on this subject. And then you'll understand why I'm taking it easy. One of our new sisters, a convert to Islam, she came into Islam in her first Ramadan, and she got married to a brother from Morocco, a real sweet brother. And he came home he travels a lot, he came home and he brought a book with him. And he gave it to her on the last day of Ramadan. Now, how many of you know what happens when the sun goes down on the day of Ramadan? What happens? Anybody know? Huh? The shaitan is released. Right? The last day of Ramadan, when the sun goes down, shaitan is released. You know that whenever the fasting starts, that the shaitan is tied up, right? So as soon as the sun goes down on the last day, he's released. It's true. So at that time, she picks up this book about the hellfires. And it had the cover, the picture, I saw it. It looks scary. With the fire and the scary, scary, scary. And she read it, and she started having some very serious psychiatric problems after that. Very, very serious. So I hesitate to throw it all out at once in an audience where I don't even know the people, because I don't want you to be so terrified that you're afraid to even walk out of the room. But if you saw it, like the angel Jibril saw it, you wouldn't be able to think about anything else. You'd be so terrified. That's the real hellfire. Some of the things that we know about it, Allah says in the Quran that over it are 19. This is in the Quran where Allah talks about the malaika who are over this, and these are some big bad motor scooters. They're bad guys. These angels, they're tough, really tough. Nobody's going to get out of there. Nobody's going to escape out of there. There's no way. Are you scared? What's in the hellfire? One of the things that Allah talks about in the Quran, in the hellfire, are columns of fire. Now, you know what columns are when you walk around these big buildings, like here in university, and you see these giant round columns going up to hold up the building, right? So those are columns. Imagine if it was a column made out of fire. But they don't just go up and down. They're not just perpendicular or up and down. They also are horizontal. Imagine this. In other words, think of bars in a jail, only bigger and fatter, all around the person. So much so that they can't even see anything else. One of the worst parts of the hellfire is being surrounded by these giant bars or columns, up and down and horizontal, to the extent that it's so brilliant, so much heat and everything coming from it, and you can't see anybody else. Can't see anything else. All you know is the misery you're in. Another part of the hellfire is to see the misery of others and know that you're in worse than they are, or at least feel like that. It's bad. Have I convinced you yet? It gets worse. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us that the food in there, now in the Quran Allah mentions about it, but he detailed it. What you'll find in the hellfire, I hope none of us really find it there, but what is there in the hellfire to eat? There's a very bitter tree, a horribly bitter tree. Horrible, disgusting, and a lake of fire, drinking fire. Huh? This is horrible. And eating or drinking from the pus of the sores. Yeah, you get an idea now. It's pretty gross, yeah? It gets worse. Like I told you, I wasn't in a hurry to get into this subject because it's really a scary thing. The Prophet ﷺ, he described a condition in there that if a person could even, in any way, shape, or form, they would do whatever it takes to get out of there. Anything. Let's talk about who are the people going to go to the hellfire. Let's leave that off. I don't want to think about it anymore. I want to get to the subject of who is going to go. Well, I have some bad news and good news. Which one do you want first? Bad? After I just told you that, you think there's something worse, huh? Alright. Bad news. The first people to go to hell are going to be Muslims. Huh? That's true. How many of you didn't know that? Hey, I feel like I'm smart now. Thank you for that. Well, they weren't, maybe literally they weren't Muslim, but listen to this. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah will start the fire of hell with the scholars of Islam who preached it but did not follow it. That means they were munafiqeen, hypocrites. Preaching Islam, but they didn't follow it. And Allah will start the fire of hell with them. Is that scary enough? You ever strike a match? You know, a match, we call them farmers' matches in the box, you know, big match, stick it, and you strike it. And then it lights. You know why it lights? Because it has a sulfur tip that runs across that piece of sandpaper that's on the side of the box. And when you go like this, the sulfur becomes so hot that it ignites the phosphorus around it, and that's what starts that match burning. If that gets on you, when you strike a match like that, it gets on you, that will burn you severely, more than the burning match, because it's so hot. And imagine how much hotter. When the Prophet ﷺ said that, I forgot the multiplier, it's many times hotter than the sun, and that's the coolest place in the hellfire. And for those who are in the hellfire, how big will they be? Let's talk about that, because they will not be the same size that they are here. In paradise, I don't want to take anything away from what Suhaib is going to be sharing with you, but just to mention, in the paradise, you will be the size of Adam. Adam, alayhi salam, was 60 cubits, which is approximately 30-something inches, or roughly, if you said 60 times 2.5 or 3 foot, it gives you an idea of about 150 feet. Taller than a water tower. In paradise. That's what you can enjoy. Really enjoy the things there. Bigger than a water tower, man. Cool, huh? So that's paradise. But what about the ones in the hellfire? Will they be bigger or smaller? How many think bigger? How many think smaller? Smaller, huh? No, actually bigger. How much bigger? As big as Adam? How many think bigger than Adam? Actually, Prophet ﷺ said the molar, the back tooth, will be bigger than a mountain. The teeth will be like a mountain range. Now, let me give you an example of something, let you think about this. There's a mountain range that goes up through West Virginia and through Pennsylvania. Huh? So imagine the teeth being like that. That means the guy is going to be bigger than Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania when he lays down. Is that big? Huh? Yeah. He's going to be huge. Why? Why would Allah make somebody so big in the hellfire? So you can feel it more. Oh, and also the fire is going to be so hot, it's going to burn off his skin. And it doesn't say how thick his skin is, but imagine if he's as big as 3 or 4 states, his skin has got to be at least as thick as some of the foothills of those mountains, huh? Maybe 200 or 300 feet high, his skin is that thick. And yet the fire of hell will burn it right off, burn right through it. And then Allah's going to replace it and keep burning it off, and replace it and burn it off again. Scared yet? Yeah. I'm serious. This needs to be a much shorter topic, right? That's bad. Hellfire is not, this is real, by the way. This is not just a metaphor. This is not just like maybe a parable. No, this is for real. And those people in the hellfire, when you're in paradise, and may Allah put all of us in His paradise, I mean, when you're in the paradise, you'll have a window in your house that you can look down and see those people. Whoa! Look at those guys! Remember those guys gave you a hard time here that were so bad, so nasty, attacking and that? That's what they're going to be. And then what will they be saying? Hey, send us down some of the stuff. I'm giving you everything. Send it down to us. Say, sorry. Doesn't work like that. And then we'll be telling Allah, just give us a chance to go back. You'll see us the best. You'll see us. We will believe. And we'll do deeds of righteousness. Just let us go back. But Allah already knows what. No, they won't. No, they won't. They'll go back to the same way they were. Anybody ready for some good news yet? Yeah, me too. The Prophet ﷺ also said, nobody will remain in the hellfire. Nobody. Everybody's going to get out. Everybody's going to get out of hell. Nobody will remain there illa except those who refuse. Well, who would refuse to leave that? That's what the companions asked Muhammad ﷺ. They said, well, who would refuse? He said, those who refuse to accept now the belief in one God and follow the mu'amala of the Sabbath. Those who refuse to believe in God and obey His commandments. You refuse here, you refuse there. Simple as that. I'm through. I'm done. I'm out of here. Unless you want me to tell you a little story. And this is the part where you say, oh yes, please, Sheikh, tell us a story. Oh, I'm glad you asked me. Yes, I will do that. The Prophet he told us a story, and I want to share it with you. English translation, plus or minus some mistakes that I have. But he told us about somebody in the hellfire. That this person is in the hellfire, and people are leaving. You know that some people are going to get out. They were only in the fire to their ankles, some to their legs, some to the, up to the head. These people are getting out because the Prophet ﷺ is making this dua for them. Maybe you heard about that already in the program. You heard about it? Okay. So those people are going out. As the Prophet, peace be upon him, is begging Allah, send these people out. Send the people that were up to here. Send the people that were, up to their neck, up to the head. And all of these people are getting out. This is one guy, though. He's sitting there watching everybody leave, everybody leave, everybody leave. And then all of a sudden the doors are closing and they're never, ever going to open again. And Allah lets this last person out. And he's like, oh. Because he's like, Allah, let me out. Please, God, let me out of here. Just let me out, please. I won't ask for anything else. Just let me out. And he's out. Oh. But he's still not in Jannah. He's just out of hell. And he sees like a tree over there. And he says, Allah, just let me go by that tree. I won't ask you for anything else. Just let me be over by the tree, And he lets him go by the tree. He's like, oh yeah. Then he sees the wall around the Jannah. And he says, let me just go by the wall. I just want to be able to. I'll never ask you for anything again. Okay, take him over there by the wall. There's a gate. Oh. Just let me look inside the gate. I don't like you for anything. Just let me just look inside. So let him go. Just kind of peeking there. But, oh no, just look inside. Just inside. Just barely inside. And I never ask you for anything again. And I was telling him all along, Are you sure? Yeah, I know. Like you said before. Yeah, but this time I believe you. So he let him inside. And he's like, oh. And then Allah tells him, ask for anything you want. Huh? Ask for anything you want. And you give it to him. Anything. Everything. Ask for more. Food. Clothing. Whatever you like. Just ask and ask and ask and ask. And after he's got everything that anybody could ever imagine, Allah comes to him and says, ask for more. He said, there isn't anything more. He said, no, ask for more. And then Allah gives him more that he didn't even imagine. Plus or minus translation of the story. Can you imagine this? How happy is that person? And this is to show us something. That Allah is so merciful. Allah is so forgiving. That even the worst of the people who will get out of the fire still will be very pleased with the paradise that they'll go to. And this actually needs to be where I stop, because I told you about the hell, and now I'm starting to talk about Jannah, and that's for Subhay when he comes and he will tell you all about the paradise. But may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those people who correct ourselves here and now, so we don't even have to experience one nanosecond in that place. You know what? There is one other little story. You sure you're not going to stay until this one? You sure? Let me check my watch. That's right, I don't know where watch is. Anyhow, the Prophet ﷺ told us about this, and I would like to end on this subject because it explains a lot of things to me. Not just about the hellfire, not just about the paradise, but it explains to me why bad things must happen to good people. We often hear about someone, really a nice guy. He does a lot of good things. Or a lady, she's a real sweetheart. But, she got cancer. He got run over by a truck. Maybe he lost his leg. Somebody is a great kid. All of a sudden he's blind. You've heard of these things and you think, why? Why did God do that? So many of the Muslims, we understand it because we read Surah Kahf. You know, the 18th chapter of the Quran. The cave, the dwellers of the cave. Because it talks about some of the people in there, why these things must happen in this life. And it actually works for good. But let's look at this one story from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He said that there was two people. One, he had everything in this life that he wanted. It was nothing that he asked for except he got it. Including before he died, he wanted a feast set before him and he got that too. The other person didn't get any of the things he wanted in this life. He had a miserable, hard life, and just before he died, all he wanted was just a drink of water. And he didn't even get that. Got it? You get these two contrasts now. The one who had everything on the Day of Judgment will be pushed into the hellfire like you take a pin and put it in something and pull it out. How long does that take? Were you timing that? Just that much. The one who had everything. And then you will be asked, did you in your whole life ever see anything good? He says, well, wallahi, in my whole entire life, I never saw anything good. Nothing. The other one who had such a miserable life, how many years of misery that could be put into the paradise, like you put a pin in something and take it out. And he'll be asked, in your whole life, did you see any difficulty? He says, in my whole life, I never saw anything bad. None. So the companions of Muhammad ﷺ, they asked, because it's a good question. So, how come this guy, he had everything, why do you have to go to hell? And the other guy had nothing, horrible life. You go to paradise, how does that work? Prophet ﷺ let us understand that no one is perfect. No one is perfectly good, and no one is perfectly bad. All of us are somewhere in between. As for those who, they're good people, but they make some mistakes. Maybe a lot of mistakes. But so Allah wants to have mercy on them, He'll give them their punishment here in this hayat dunya, in this life. So they will not even smell the hellfire. They will not suffer at all on the Day of Judgment. Allah's mercy is that He removes any of this from them. As far as the other person, there are some people that are so evil, so horrible, so rotten, yet they will still do some good. They will do some good. So Allah, He will give them all of their reward in this life, because this is what they want. So He gives it to them. He gives it. And you wonder, why do these bad people keep getting this good stuff? It's good in this life. But as soon as they die, they don't have it anymore, do they? Huh? No. And on the Day of Judgment, they will not even smell the paradise. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cause us to be the group that enters His paradise, mafi hisab, without any reckoning. Amen. May Allah give us His paradise, His forgiveness, His maghfirah, and His rahmah, His mercy, and make right our affairs in this life and in the next life. Until next time, peace. Assalamu alaikum. Now this guy's supposed to be walking out here to take over the microphone, but before I do that, I'm going to do a commercial, okay? I'm in the TV business, so I know how to do commercials. The guy's off the stage, right? Am I right? Yeah. See that? How many of you have a car? Anybody has a car, raise your hand. How many of you would like to have a car? Okay. So what do? You get one of these and put it in your oak chest. These are bumper stickers for Guidus TV. Guidus TV works to present real Islam in simple English all over the United States and Canada. We've been broadcasting for 2 years on satellite and for about 10 years on the internet. And our programs are 24 hours a day, one after the other after the other. It's called Guidus TV. You can find it on what's called Galaxy 19. If you have the satellite that points off to the southwest area, then you'll be able to pick it up. And if you don't, you can always get it in 2 other places. One on the internet, and now phone apps for a smartphone. Anybody have a smartphone? Do you guys remember when people used to be smart and the phones were dumb? Well, don't forget to get one of these on your way out. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Takbir. 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 So inshallah, Sheikh Yusuf has agreed to take a few questions if you have it right now. Inshallah, invite him back onto the stage and you can present him your questions, inshallah.
Bismillah. I'm back. See what it is, I'm not going to be here for the QA part, and it needs some filler in here anyway. So, I got to make it look intelligent. Here we go. Ready? Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalam rasulullah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, ashhadu la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Now we come to the fun part of our program where we do the Q&A, the questions and answers. But to have more fun, I thought we should just reverse it. I'll ask you the questions, you give me the answers. Ready? No. Right, I got another idea. Hold on. How about this? Give me the answers. And I'll guess what the question was. Wait. And if I'm right, I get a prize, like on Jeopardy. Huh? No? That wasn't my trip to the Bahamas. Anyhow, if you have a question, usually we take them written format. And if you would like to write a question down, you can do so. And if you would like to ask a question, I would prefer you will make it about our topic. Our topic. Because we want to stay on point here for the benefit of all the others that are here. And if you want to write to me about some other subject, then I'll give you the email you can write to us. But don't expect an answer within 10 minutes, okay? Because it does take me time. I've answered one yesterday or the day before that came to me in September. Does that give you an idea? But that one had been lost. But anyway, so you can write to me, Yusuf, but you got to spell it the way I spell it or you'll never get it. It's Y-U-S-U-F. 5 letters. Y-U-S-U-F. Got it? At, I didn't bring it back out, Guidus TV. GuideUS.tv. It's not a .com, it's a .tv. Okay? That's what you do on all the questions. Not related to our subject of Jahannam. Anybody have a question? Yeah, they're bringing some questions up. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. While we are waiting, I'll tell you one of the questions we get a lot. A lot of people will ask us the question about hijab. How many of you ever had a question about hijab? Would like to know something about it? Well, I'm going to answer your question first. No, you will not look good in it. Do Muslims have to wear hijab? How many say yes? How many say no? How many say, I don't know? Well, the answer is, listen to the question, do all Muslims have to wear hijab? Not the boys. Do all Muslims have to grow a beard? Not the girls. Don't you just hate it when a girl's beard is longer than yours? I mean, that's really bad. It's called beard envy. You ever heard of that before? No? Anyway, we'll just move right along. Can't believe he said that. Anyhow, what is hijab? And I'll give you a story about that and then you figure it out. I was doing a program like this in the university, community college actually, some years ago. And all of a sudden, a lady disappeared. She just come in the door. She was one of the teachers, professors there. And she pointed over at the sisters and she said, "Why are they dressed like that?" I went, "Huh? Why are they dressed like that?" I went, "Wow, man, I can't believe this lady's like, what is that?" And it came to my mind, ask her why she's dressed like that. So I did. I said, "So why are you dressed like that?" She said, "What?" I said, "Why are you dressed like that?" And she's dressed like, you know, all the way to the floor. She got long dress on, here, up to the neck, but no scarf. So I said, "Why are you dressed like that?" She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Okay, is it your logic that you think there's something wrong with the way they're dressed?" She said, "Yes, it's not logical." I said, "Thank you." So, according to just plain logic, I need to ask you, what were you wearing when you were born? She said, "What?" I said, "What were you wearing when you were born?" I said, "Let me give you a clue. You were nude in the buff. No clothes on, naked." Ah! True or false? Everybody started laughing. I did that up and right now. And then I said to her, "Okay, so according to logic, if you were born without any clothes, why did you put any on?" Before she could think, she shouted at me, "Modesty!" I said, that's exactly the same for these ladies. The only difference is, for you, you're missing this part right here. For them, they're using not your logic, but using the instruction from the Creator. And the Creator has ordered them to dress a certain way, and He calls that modesty. So according to Allah, this is modesty. According to you, you made up your own way. Lots of luck. Now, guess what happened? She stormed out of there, and the brother who was in charge, like Brother here, he come to me and he said, "Sheikh, that's my history teacher. I think I just failed." All right, we got some questions. Let's take a look. Oh, boy. Be right back. I don't really need glasses except to see. So, there we go. That's a good question. The first one is not related to our subject, except indirectly. Now, it says about what's the right way to wear the hijab, and that would be, thank you so much. What is the right way to wear the hijab? Let us come back to our subject of the hellfire. I have heard a narration, which I think is a weak one, but in any case, check it out, brothers. It's related to you and hijab. The first one is to be punished for the women not wearing the hijab will be her father, her brother, her husband, and her son. Oh, so ladies, please take it easy on this. Wear the hijab. Don't get us in trouble, please. What's the best way to avoid hell? Who knows? Somebody know? This one comes in the form of an answer that the Prophet ﷺ is riding on his animal, and he's got somebody riding with him on the back named Mu'adh bin Jabal. And if you've heard these hadith, they go like this: Ya Mu'adh, oh Mu'adh, Labayk wa Sadiq, I'm here and I'm listening, go for it. Ya Mu'adh, oh Mu'adh, Labbaik wa Sadiq. I'm here, I'm listening, go ahead. So after this discourse back and forth, the Prophet says that for the one who has iman equal to a grain of some kind of wheat or barley, then the hellfire will not touch them. And then he mentioned also a smaller grain, and then he mentioned a mustard seed, which is looks like a little black dot. Have you seen a mustard seed before? It looks like a piece of pepper. You know, black pepper? It's small like this. Whoever has iman, meaning the belief in Allah, the commitment to the belief. By the way, iman doesn't mean belief. It means a committed belief. You know the difference between iman and belief? Well, iman is that you're going to do something about it. Whereas belief, I believe it's snowing outside, but if I walk out there without proper attire, that means I'm pretty stupid, yeah? I know it's snowing, but I still went out there without the proper clothes on. So iman means that yes, you know it's snowing, and you will be sure that you dress accordingly. And the same would apply to hijab. So that's one of the things. But then the Prophet ﷺ said, even if somebody says La ilaha illallah, the fire will be forbidden to them. Whoever says La ilaha illallah, and the scholar said, of course it means with sincerity. That you would not be able to get away with just saying it and go, good to go, you know? It won't work like that. So saying La ilaha illallah with sincerity, meaning I really do have iman in this. If I was able to do it, I would do it. For the sake of my Lord, I'm committed to follow what my Lord wants me to do. I want to obey. I want to be His servant. Whatever He says, I want to say, Sami'na wa ata'na. We hear and we obey. That person is safe from the hellfire. To say it and, of course, believe in it and act on it. So that's the number one. And what do you do to prepare for Jannah? Again, this is very good questions. To prepare for the Jannah. Somebody asked about the last day. I think you had that in another program. But they asked the Prophet ﷺ about the last day. When is the last day? He said, what have you prepared for it? And what have we prepared for it? By following the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are preparing for your place in the paradise. And by obeying the Prophet ﷺ, you are fulfilling the orders in the Quran. It says, Ati Allah wa Ati Rasul. Obey Allah and obey the Messenger of Allah. For those who say they don't believe in Hadith, have you heard anybody say that they don't believe in Hadith? Okay, this is somebody with half a shahada. Half a shahada. They say, Ashhadu la ilaha illallah. But I don't need to believe in Muhammad. Because if you don't believe in Hadith, you don't know anything about Muhammad. Oh, and just so you know why they're going to hell anyway. Because you have to also believe in the Quran. Some people say, I believe in the Quran, I don't believe in Hadith. Huh? That's like people say, well, I believe there's police, but I don't believe there's any law enforcement. Huh? What are you talking about? The Quran says clearly in it that you obey the Prophet. How are you going to obey him if you don't know what he said? And the Prophet ﷺ told you what hadith are. فَإِنَّ إِصْدَقُ الْحَدِيثِ كِتَابُ اللَّهِ. The best hadith is the book of Allah. So if you say I don't believe in hadith, you didn't believe in the Quran either. Because it comes the same way. Narration from mouth to ear, ear to mouth. Like this. You heard it, you memorized it, you repeat it to the next generation, and that's how we receive the Quran. Got it? So, I hope you prepare for the Jannah. All of us do. This is a very good question. We were having a discussion about that a little earlier before we came out. These different words. When you're going to use a word from Arabic in the English language, it's good to research it and find out what it means. Kafir and non-Muslim. Is there such a thing as the difference between kafir and non-Muslim? What is a kafir? And what's a non-Muslim? A non-Muslim is somebody obviously is not a Muslim. That's pretty easy. But what is a kafir? Our English has this word in it, actually. The word kafir is right there. See that? What is that? What is this? What am I doing? Kafir. Kufar. Kafara. I'm actually doing the verb kafara. I'm covering this. Our word cover came from the Arabic word kafir. It is to cover. Now, if I have just this, and I'm going like that, this is not kafir anymore, is it? Because I'm not covering anything. I'm walking around, I don't know what I got in my hand doing, okay? I'm just going like that. So this is the difference. But once I know this is the cup and this is the cover, and I do that, then I've covered it up. Make sense? So until the person knows La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, somebody told them, they understood it, then if they deny it, they're kafir. Because they heard it, they understood it. And that's why Rasulullah said this about an ayah in the Quran. وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا فَلَا يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْهُ خَاسِرِينَ. This is in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 85. And the translation says, whoever wants to have their own religion, I've got to give you some explanation here of the word deen. Anybody who wants to make up their own religion and follow some religion other than what Allah wants them to follow, you want to make up your own lifestyle, I want to do it my way, okay? Then hit the highway. Because Allah has something for you to do. And if you don't want to do it, if you want to make up your own thing, go some other way, even a little bit, doesn't work. You're not allowed to change the deen of Allah. And that's why it says, and they will be losers in the next life. So, understand now the meaning of a person who is kafir. He's understood clearly, or she understood clearly what Islam wanted, but she denied it, or he denied it. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be perfect Muslim. What it means is you must never deny that Islam teaches this. The hijab is the best one. When somebody says, well, I just don't see why I need to wear it. That's bad. That's very bad. But it's even worse to say, no, it doesn't say it anywhere in the Quran. It doesn't really say you have to wear a hijab. No, it doesn't mean that. Just wear something over your chest. They translate that and give their own meaning to it. Because they didn't know what's a khimar. But anyway, when they do that, that's kufr. Because it's clear. Clear. Even if she wears hijab, but she says, I wear it, but I don't have to because it's not really in Islam, she might as well not worry about wearing it anymore because you're lying about the deen and this will throw you in the hellfire. If a person said shaves, okay, this is wrong in Islam, you're not supposed to shave. But he said, I know I'm wrong in Islam, I know the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he told us, Sahih Bukhari, leave the beard alone except above the lip, above the upper lip. You can cut up here, but leave this alone. Alright? And he said, yeah, but, this or that, or I know I'm supposed to, but okay, this is bad. But it's not kufr. He's still a Muslim. But when somebody denies something, even if they do salah and say, well, I don't think we have to, but I do it for fun. Okay, this is not, salah is not what count. Try to get this in your mind, understand what I'm saying. A kafir knows, that's what we talk about, Muslims are going to hell. How about a person teaching you and he doesn't follow it? That's why Allah is going to start the fire of hell with him. As far as those who never heard the message, maybe you're implying this, what about the one who never heard the message? Then Allah will test them on the day of judgment in a way that suits Allah, and He is the most fair. He will never throw anybody in the fire that doesn't deserve to go there. So don't worry about that. Worry about yourself and concern yourself about your parents and the people around you, because that's what we're going to be asked about. Did you deliver the message? You asked me about Surah Mulk. does reciting it every night save you from the punishment of the grave? One of my teachers, Jamaluddin Zarabozo, told us, he said that almost all of the hadith telling you to recite this surah or that surah or this surah and all the benefits going are fabricated. Almost all of them are fabricated except with a few. Like the one that said if you read Surah Ikhlas, it's like 1/3 of the Quran. This is good hadith. Some of the hadith about Surah Fatiha, these are good hadith. But the ones that say if you do this so many times, you do that so many times, do this every night, do that every morning, he said that the vast majority are fabricated, and that's according to Sheikh Muhammad Nasruddin al-Albani. And I'm not familiar with it, so I'm not going to comment. I'm just telling you in general. You heard there's a cold pit in hell? Yes. I heard about it too. I hope I never see it. It says it's so cold. I don't know if have you ever been burned with dry ice? Everybody know what dry ice is? How about just an ice cube? You put it on you and it's stuck and you're trying to get it off and you're trying to figure out why is this ice sticking to me and it's burning? Even though it's ice. Okay? It's 1,000 times worse than that. That's the cold place in hell. It's really bad. So cold that it still takes your skin off. Good question. You guys know what you're talking about. That's what I need you to speak. Huh? Yeah, I like this. Does hellfire... Yeah, that's a good question. Does hellfire have a personality and facial features? Because I heard it's true. Actually, the way the Prophet ﷺ described hellfire, he did describe it as though it's saying, come on to me, I got room, come on in. Yeah. That's scary. Oh, and it says the skin in hellfire is 126 feet. The thickness of the skin? Did you write that? Especially the children praying for their folks. Have you heard about the baby that dies? All babies go to paradise when they die. Did you know that? It doesn't matter about the religion of the parents. It could be total atheists, communists, could be a Bhakti party, whatever, but the child dies and the child goes to paradise. All children go to paradise because they're innocent as a newborn baby. But there's more. Not only they go to paradise, but in paradise they're saying, oh Allah, let my parents be with me. Let my parents be with me. But after somebody is destined to the hellfire forever and ever, you won't love them anymore anyway, because you'll see right through their lies. You will understand, because you cannot see people's hearts. Do you know what's in people's hearts? No, I don't either. But in that case, you don't worry about it. You won't love them anymore, because you'll understand. You'll see them. But for those who have a good heart, even if they were in hellfire, they will get out anyway. Remember, Allah is Adil. Adil means He's fair. He's just. Some good questions. You guys are smart. Will hell remain forever? Yep. Khalidina fiha. Khalidina fiha means they'll be there forever. Yep. But also paradise will be there forever too. Now, these are concepts we don't have in our life here. Everything we know has a beginning and an end, right? You said, I know there are characteristics of munafiq and they will be thrown into the hellfire. How can you save yourself from being something in the something you mentioned? In the position of the scholar you mentioned, is that what it said? Who wrote it? Well, anyway, do you understand what's munafiq? We say hypocrite, but hypocrite in English is like a girl who she doesn't wear the hijab, all right? But when she goes out in front of certain people, she'll put it on and act like she wears it all the time. That's a hypocrite in English. And that's correct, but in Arabic that's not munafiq. A munafiq is somebody who lies clearly. She has it on and she's saying, I'm a Muslim and I wear hijab, and underneath it, it's all lies. She doesn't believe in Allah, she doesn't believe in the Prophet ﷺ, and she doesn't think that wearing hijab is a part of Islam. So this is real munafiq. You understand the difference? That's a big difference between the word we use in English for hypocrite, because we misuse it a lot in English. I could have picked on the brothers, but we got more sisters here than brothers, so sorry about that. This one said, Dear Yusuf, says, they say women will feel Jahannam. Why? How many of you heard that before? Actually, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that he saw into the hellfire and he saw into the paradise. And I'm going to end with this one. It says in the hadith that he saw into the hellfire and he saw into paradise. In the hellfire he found it filled with women, and in paradise he found filled with poor people. So don't make this comparison that some people think, okay, women are more prone to go to hell than men. No, because poor people is men and women. As far as the women go, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned because of the way of their tongue, because they backbite, because they slander, because they mistreat their husbands. Some of the things that he talked about is why you will find more. He didn't say they'll all stay there either. So be very careful of your tongue, ladies and brothers. Be careful, because it is so easy. And you know it as well as I do what I'm talking about. Don't pretend you don't understand this. That when you're sitting there all together and you're like, oh, I really like your hijab. Not. And we wish you'll come back soon. Not really. And, oh, she's so nice. Oh, did you see her? Man, oh, she gone. Ah. Did you ever see that? Yes or no? Be honest. Okay, that's what he's talking about. And brothers, we're starting to pick up some bad habits too. This is not in Islam. It never is in Islam. Also, it's not in Islam that you correct somebody in front of the other people. You take them aside and you gently talk about the subject. This will put you in hellfire, and I want to close by saying this. Islam is about rights. It's all about rights. If you deprive people of their rights, if you take away their rights, regardless if they're Muslim or not, you will pay for that. So give people their rights. Be kind, be generous, and above all, be Muslim. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.